In tonight's 360 Perspective, several states are filing suit over President Trump's new rules for green cards. They're denying them to immigrants who would become public charges and need public assistance in the form of Medicaid, food stamps, and housing vouchers. Education and household income will also be factors to get legal status. The new changes are for those coming here legally wanting permanent status. New York, Connecticut, and Vermont joining the challenge with California. The New York Attorney General says the rule targets immigrants of color, but the White House disagrees.
It's important that we understand that we welcome to these shores immigrants who are not just rich, but immigrants, again, who are also poor. It's critically important that we understand that this country is really all about equality for all individuals and equal opportunities for all individuals.
We certainly expect people of any income to be able to stand on their own 2 feet. And so if people are not able to be self-sufficient, then this negative factor is going to bear very heavily against them.
According to the Council on Foreign Relations, Census Bureau numbers show immigrants make up about 14% of the U.S. population, or more than 43 million of the total 323 million. Together, immigrants and their U.S.-born children make up 27% of the population. And Mexico is the most common country of origin, making up 25% of immigrants. But the proportion of immigrants from South and East Asia, about 27%, those are on the rise. Homeland Security's latest estimates of illegal immigrants were 12 million in 2015, and more than half of them were from Mexico. President Trump wanted to add a question about this on next year's census to find out the numbers, but the court struck it down. The Pew Research Center says more than half of illegal immigrants have been here more than a decade. Central Americans seeking asylum making up a growing share of those crossing the U.S.-Mexico border. Many policies aim to reduce unlawful border crossings, but those who came here legally and overstay their visas are said to make up a large portion of the undocumented population. Now here's a look at some legal admissions from 2017, according to the Council on Foreign Relations. The U.S. granted 1.1 million individuals permanent residency. More than 2/3 came on the basis of family reunification. Other categories include employment, refugees, diversity, asylum seekers as well. In late 2018, nearly 4 million applicants were on the State Department wait list. Now, immigration laws are very complex, but we wanted to see what's required to migrate to other countries. And our neighbors to the north and south do require you to prove financial status, education, language abilities, and they also have points systems. Now, KOAA, a UK-based global immigration firm, published a report on the top 10 countries with the toughest immigration controls. Japan has had a law since 2009 that offers unemployed Latin American immigrants there $3,000 to leave Japan and go back to their country of origin if they promise to never return. Their family members also get $2,000 each to leave. In Denmark, they have the 24-year rule. To qualify, you have to be 24 years old to marry a Danish spouse and get your citizenship. In the Persian Gulf states, your only route to become naturalized citizens is by marriage, but that's not guaranteed to non-Muslims. In China, it is legally authorized, but nearly impossible. You have to be a relative or permanently living there. With 1.4 billion people, only 941 naturalized citizens were counted who don't belong to a recognized Communist Party. South Korea allows temporary low-skilled workers to come in and do difficult, dangerous, and demanding jobs. The number of Koreans living abroad is 2 million, far exceeding the number of migrants who have gone there. Also, according to KOAA, Israel refuses African refugees more than any other first world country, and securing permanent residency almost impossible unless you are Jewish. Switzerland, you must live there 10 years. And to do that, you must be a high net worth investor, married to a Swiss partner, or employed by a Swiss company in a highly skilled, well-paid role. Austria, they have cards that grant residence based on shortages in the labor market, but there are only 11 professions that qualify. In Nigeria, you need an employment offer or contract. It does not promote immigration there. And finally, India. There's no path to legal permanent residency for those who are not of Indian ancestry, except through marriage or giving up original citizenship. Even then, you must leave every 5 years and reapply for a long-term visa. Even if you own a business, you will never get permanent residency. Now, Haskew Law says for immigration to work like trade, you need to have as many people leaving as you have coming in to have a zero-sum effect. By the way, the new green card rule in the U.S. would go into effect October 15th. Do you think our rules are too strict or too lenient? What's your perspective? Head to our Facebook page and chime in. Our page is KOAA5 and mine is Elizabeth Watts News. And if you have an idea for a future 360 perspective, email 360@koaa.com.